Hey, 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 what is going on, YouTubeverse? John Stanek from Johnny Radio here, bringing you another tier list. And I'm so excited. You knew I was going to get to this one eventually. Coldplay, one of my favorite bands of all time at this point. You can see a rush of blood to the head on my wall of perfect albums there, which, by the way, tune in Friday night. I'm going to have my top five Rush of Blood to the Head songs on Top Five Friday. So be sure to check that out. It's kind of a Coldplay week, if you will, here at Johnny Radio. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right to the tier list. I'm going to share my screen with you and let's get to work. Of course, going in order, starting with Parachutes from 2000. And right out of the gate, I'm going to give this thing an A. Such a great debut album. I mean, just from the opener of Don't Panic, you knew what these guys were setting out for, which was, a little bit of an understated, also kind of a jazzy vibe on some of these songs. Like Spies and Shiver and just brilliant seeds of where they would go with kind of the more bombastic sounds on songs like Yellow, of course. And then you got those great melancholic ballads like Trouble. There's really not a weak song on here. So, really strong debut. So let's move on to Rush of Blood to the Head. And you know where this is going to go because you saw it on my wall of perfect albums. That's just a 10 out of 10. Um, it's actually the last album that I give a 10 out of 10 rating to. So it's been 20 years since I've given an album a perfect rating. So come on, guys, whether it's Coldplay or some other band, we need more perfect albums out there. There's some that have come close for me, but not quite. I mean, I can go on and on about this record. Politic is my favorite Coldplay song. Amazing opener. The Scientist is just one of the greatest ballads ever written. Clocks, I mean, come on, just it deservedly a huge hit. In My Place, Amsterdam, everything in between. God Put a Smile on My Face, just brilliant all the way through. So that's an S. So now we move on to X and Y, which initially on first listen back in those days, it was more in the B range for me, but it's kind of more a B plus A minus. So I'm going to put it round it up to the A range. And the big reason is Fix You. I mean, just one of the greatest Coldplay song. It's like the quintessential Coldplay song. You know, it has every element of what you love about them there in that one song. But there's a lot of gems on this record as well. I mean, Low is really cool and underrated. The whole ending of the album, like Swallowed by the Sea, Twisted Logic, and the sort of hidden track that was written for Johnny Cash. It's really really great stuff and deserves to be an A in my opinion. So then we got Viva La Vida, which to me, I almost want to put it in the S range, but to me, it's more just it's in the A range, but a very high A. I mean, this to me at the time was almost like a comeback record as far as them going full creative, artistic. Of course, the production by Brian Eno is fantastic. The title track, one of the greatest. The great thing about Coldplay is no matter even if an album isn't the greatest, they always have at least one awesome song on every album that they can stand behind. But this whole thing is great. I mean, not a weak track on here. Life in Technicolor is a really cool opener. You've got 42, which is really cool and explorative. You've got Strawberry Swing, I think is really awesome. Violet Hill, so many great tracks. So yeah, that's got to be at least in the A range. So then from there, you got Milo Xyloto. And this one, I almost wish there were more tiers on a tier list because this one also kind of like X and Y is, I think, is kind of between a B and an A, like a B plus A minus, but it's so freaking good. I give it an A as well. I mean, come on, man. Charlie Brown, Paradise. You got some other gems on here like Major Minus is a great rocker. Their collaboration with Rihanna on Princess of China is really cool. And some really, I mean, there's there's a couple of songs. It's a little long, but and I know it's not quite as good as Viva La Vida, but I still think it's in that range. So there you go. I'm being very nice to Coldplay on this one, but I mean, honestly, these are where I rank these albums. So from here, where did they go next? Oh, yes, it was Ghost Stories. Now, here I feel like that is in the B range and almost a low B as well. I would, it's almost on the verge of being a C. Like this album, Magic was cool, and Midnight is actually very cool and hypnotic and interesting, but the rest of the album doesn't really do it for me. And I was expecting a little bit more, especially as coming as a, essentially a breakup, heartbreak album. I was thinking Chris Martin may, be one of the best at that based on his track record of writing, some of the best sad songs of all time. But this one didn't live up to it for me. I thought it was not the greatest, but understandable with everything Mr. Martin was going through at the time. So from there, we've got A Head Full of Dreams. Now, here, unfortunately, I'm going all the way down to the D range, and I'm so sad to say that, but yeah, this to me was a fall from grace. Like I don't know what they were going for on this record, but they went like full pop commercial where they'd hinted on it on like Milo before in really cool artistic ways, but on here it felt different. Like him for the weekend, whereas like Princess of China with Rihanna felt really interesting, and like the melodies are great and the songwriting is killer. This one just feels like he just threw together a very oversimplistic hook and said, oh, I'm going to get Beyonce on this one, like almost like an afterthought. And a lot of the album feels that way. I do admit I like Adventure of a Lifetime. As I said, there's always one redeeming song on every album. I don't love it, but it's a really fun song to hear live, and it's got that kind of disco vibe, which is different for Coldplay. So I give them a little bit of points for that, but the rest of this album is just, it's tough to get through, man. Which that was, it was tough for me at the time. I was like, oh man, I hate it that these guys made a kind of a clunker of an album. But then we have Everyday Life, and man, to me, this was a huge comeback. I actually, this again is like a B plus A minus record for me, so I'm going to throw it in the A range. I like to round up, and although I don't listen to it that much now, when it came out, I was just thrilled with songs like Arabesque. I think is one of their coolest songs that they've ever done, and was them back at like trying out different styles, going jazzy with the horns and kind of the Middle Eastern influence on several songs on the album. And it was so cool how they did that concert in Jerusalem when the album was released. There's really not a weak track on the album. I mean, it's nothing like Rush of Blood to the Head where there's like so many standout songs. But in a way, it's kind of nice that it's just evenly kind of solid throughout. There's nothing that stands out in a huge way other than Arabesque, and that pops in my mind right away. But some really strong ballads on here as well, and songs with some important social commentary that needs to be said these days. So I was very happy with that album, and that brings us to Music of the Spheres. And some people really hated this along with this one, and there is some stuff on here I don't like, I'm not going to lie, but I'm actually going to be nice and put it in the B range, if nothing else, for Coloratura. Man, that is currently my second favorite Coldplay song of all time. I think it's incredible. Its 10 plus minute runtime is warranted because every second of that thing is a brilliant masterpiece, and really shows why this band is still doing their thing at such a high level. I wish they would play it live more because it's definitely the best song on that album. There's some other good stuff on here as well. I really dug Higher Power. People of the Pride is a really good rocker. There's some other decent ballads on here like Human Heart. But then there's some stuff that brings it down a notch as well. So there's no way I could put that in the A grade. But hey, look at this, man. Coldplay with a pretty solid tier list, I must say. A lot of A's and an S and a B. I mean, when you average it out, I would say they're A level. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. How would you rank them? And do you think I'm way off base here? Was I too nice to Coldplay? I don't think so, but time will tell too if they make another A or even S album. I'm got my fingers crossed because these guys are still out there, and I believe they're in the studio currently. So hopefully they take some notes from their fans that love coloratura and more songs like that and less of songs with puppets singing, with chipmunk voices and stuff like that. So anyway, that is my list, guys. So again, let me know what you think, and let me know what tier list, what band I should do next, or which solo artist. I've already done a couple of the biggies, so looking forward to spreading out and doing some more. And again, be sure to check out my top 5 Rush of Blood to the Head songs this Friday. So guys, thank you for watching. We're always discovering and rediscovering great music here. We got album reviews, top 5s every Friday, big countdowns, so much more. Thank you for watching, and as always, Viva la vinyl. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and be sure to ring the bell for notifications so you can always see great quality content like you're seeing on the screen right now. Thank you so much for supporting Johnny Radio, and I'll see you soon.